It is October 11th, 2016. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. Yet we have another advancement in what I would call aggression in Syria or about Syria. This one coming from the British. The Express.co.uk is reporting this, and I'll put the link down in the description. British jets must be free to shoot down Russian warplanes in Syria, says top Tory MP. British warplanes should be given the green light to shoot down Russian jets over Syria to end the bloody civil war, a former cabinet minister has demanded. Andrew Mitchell said the RAF should be used to confront Moscow's aircraft in the skies above Syria, downing them if necessary to prevent civilians from being bombed in towns such as Aleppo. He brushed aside concerns that firing at Russian jet could spark a new world war, saying the UK's involvement should be limited to defensive action only. The former International Development Secretary used the example of Turkey downing a Russian fighter jet which veered into its airspace last year to show how a strong defensive posture would fire a warning shot at the Russians without provoking full-blown conflict. He said NATO jets, including a British contingent, should be used to police the skies and enforce a no-fly zone. Parts of Syria have come under daily aerial attack from the government and Russian bombers. Speaking this morning, Mr. Mitchell told BBC Radio 4, "What we are saying is very clear. No one wants to see a firefight with Russia. No one wants to shoot down a Russian plane. But what we do say is that the international community has an avowed responsibility to protect, and that protection must be exerted. If that means confronting Russian air power defensively on behalf of the innocent people on the ground who are trying to protect, then we should do that." As tensions between the West and Moscow continue to mount over Vladimir Putin's support for Syrian leader Bashar Assad, Mr. Mitchell added, "It's not a declaration of war against Russia, but it's an absolute declaration that we will seek to protect the innocent victims of these war crimes." Asked if British aircraft would be involved in this plan for a no-fly zone, he replied, "I think that Britain should explore with its allies how it would enforce a no-fly zone. It is clearly not something that we can do on our own, but as part of a coalition of the willing to confront this appalling catastrophe, we should certainly be willing to explore that and implement it if we are able to do so." Mr. Mitchell also likened the Russians to the Nazis, interesting, huh? Accusing Moscow of shredding the international rules-based system of law. Somebody needs to inform Mr. Tory that ISIS is USIS. The Tory former chief whip told the Commons on Monday the use of incendiary weapons munitions such as bunker-buster bombs and cluster bombs, the UN make clear that the systematic use of such indiscriminate weapons in densely populated areas amounts to a war crime. We are witnessing events which match the behavior of the Nazi regime in Guernica in Spain. So there you go. That's Britain. And don't you love, by the way, that they put this image in the article? Isn't that well placed? Propaganda, folks. Absolute propaganda. It's happening here. It's happening abroad. And I don't think Russia's going to put up with it. I really don't. I think we are in a very different time than the Cold War. And I think the Cold War was a thing to where Russia realized that they weren't faced with anything that was worth it. At this point, though, it looks like they're just trying to protect what little bit of sovereignty is left on this planet.